So World Vision is a global organization that currently works across 140 countries in the world. We work in nearly all continents, if I should say all continents in the world. It's a Christian organization that was founded quite a number of years ago, and it was founded on the principle of serving children in some of the most difficult places in the world. So we are currently working in many countries in about 5 key areas. We work in the area of health. We work, which is part of our discussion actually this morning, which is health. We work in the area of education. We work also in the area of what we call livelihoods and food security, that also includes economic development. We do also some critical work in the area of child protection, which is a big issue globally, and also a big issue also in our country, Papua New Guinea. And finally, we also work in the area of water and sanitation. So I did mention that we are a Christian organization, but we are non-denominational, which means that we do embrace everybody from all places of their Christian faith. By virtue of us being a Christian organization also does not mean that our services do not reach those that are not of the Christian faith. In fact, a quite substantial amount of our work is done in places that are non-Christian, or countries that are Muslim by nature. For instance, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq. Those are places where we work in that are not Christian. So our core really is to the children, and our core even here in Papua New Guinea is to the children of Papua New Guinea. Thank you.
This is wonderful. You know, we're talking about children, and talking about children. One of the things is children want to have a safe environment. We would want to know how you are executing some of these programs within our province, Morobe. How we are really benefiting from your services. That is perhaps our keen interest right now.
Thank you so much. That's a wonderful question. Morobe has been a very excellent host to World Vision over the years. We have been in Morobe for as long as World Vision has been in Papua New Guinea. We have done a lot of different projects. So one of our flagship projects is around immunization. We are working in partnership with UNICEF, WHO, and with funding from DFAT to increase the immunization penetration or the immunization coverage in the province. One of the things that is currently existing in the country is that the numbers of children that are immunized are quite low, and we are working very closely with the PHA to increase that immunization coverage. And so we are supporting health teams to go into the rural communities in Morobe to get the children immunized. And so it's I would like to encourage the listeners out there that when the opportunity comes for them to take the children to be immunized, it is very important that they are immunized, particularly because immunization really is an investment for the future on the children. There is evidence that suggests from research that children that are not immunized are actually prone to having diseases. And one of the diseases we are talking about now is COVID. In fact, there's discussions that are going on around scientists on why, for instance, different places are not getting the same intensity of COVID spread. And one of the answers that is being given is that for areas where children have been immunized or were immunized in the past with certain immunizations, those have been spared the ravages of COVID-19. So that's our encouragement out there. Get the children to be immunized when it's an opportunity. We also do have projects for water and sanitation, particularly focusing mainly at the moment in Nawai district, where we are working with the DDA there to improve water and sanitation in schools and also in health facilities. Another big component of that work is encouraging communities to make toilets and to stop the habit of what we call open defecation. We also do have education projects around. One of the education projects is called Together for Education, that works mainly around children, building the capacity, upskilling the capacity of teachers and also schools to teach elementary school children. Another project works in education, but with higher grades. It's called ANCP All, and both of them are funded by DFAT. There's also a couple of small projects that we're doing. One is funded by the EU that works with both in-school and out-of-school youths with life skills capacity building. The EU has been very gracious to give us some support. We are just about to start another project. In fact, we just commenced it this week. That's also going to work in Nawaib district, in 10 schools in Nawaib, where we are reaching out to boys and girls in the schools to respect each other. To it's a gender project where we want to encourage boys and girls to see themselves as helpers of each other, and not where the girl child is ostracized, has a disadvantage against the boy children, but where we build values in these children, where they see themselves as collaborative partners. A little project also that we just starting up discussions a little bit with is with the Catholic Church here in Leh, to try and reach kids. Yes. And part of that broader project is working with parents and kids and about positive parenting, so that we build the future of children. A lot of people in the community, at least we do have access to water, And one of the things that should happen is that every time somebody uses or touches something or greets another person or uses the latrine, they ought to wash their hands with water. It is not something probably that as community members we've practiced all the time, but there has to be a beginning somewhere. So washing one's hands with water is good practice. When you are coughing or you are sneezing, particularly when you have flu, stay away from other people. That's a very good practice. You need to cough on your elbow so that you don't have any contamination there. Another thing that we mentioned, and it was also mentioned in the jingles that we're playing, is that when people should avoid places where there's so many people. Sometimes you go in places where people are packed together, like sardines, and so those are places that we should avoid. Now, I want to particularly zero in to those to give the science a context. This particular disease is quite hard on people that have got very weak immune systems, particularly the elderly. And a lot of us in the households, we do have those kinds of elderly people. And what I want to call out to our people out there is that you need to feel pity to protect our own elderly people. We avoid getting the virus
and bringing it back home.
You're basically exactly. You're bringing it back, and then you make the children vulnerable. But also beyond that, it's about, when you get the virus has the capacity to incapacitate you. And if you're the breadwinner in the home, you're the one that brings in the food to the table. It means that when you get the virus, you are not going to work. You are not going to go to work. And so you have to think about the children. You have to think about your spouse. You have to think about your family. Do not expose yourself deliberately to something that can potentially eat you.
And which you can actually prevent now.
Exactly, I'm from Africa, and in Africa we have lions that roam around. If you know that there's a lion in that place, you do not want to pass there.
You don't want to prove a point.
Because it is going to eat you up. And that's exactly the way COVID is. That it's potentially going to eat you up and chew you. So if you know that COVID is in a place like this, do not go there. We have not had the number of deaths that other places have seen, but that's just grace, and I think that we should not take that opportunity for granted. This is an opportunity for us to recreate ourselves. You see, behavior change takes time, but also behavior change is a very conscious process. When I want to change the behavior that I want to see in me, it's up to me to change it. There's a lot of things that I hear our people in the community say, look, we've been doing this for a long time. You can't change it overnight. We've been hugging each other, we've been greeting in the hands, we've been coughing up, like, or we've been, all those things. There comes a time when whatever you were doing, which was seemingly right to you, it has to change. Yeah. And I think that we need to be advocates of each other. And so my encouragement to us out there, like you said, and the bishop mentioned it, this is about love. This is about how I love myself, how I love people that are close to me, that are potentially going to be a risk if I had COVID, to be at risk if I had COVID, how I love other human beings that I work with in the workplaces, but also in the marketplaces. So let's be responsible human beings. And being responsible human beings means taking responsibility, doing the right things that will make us avoid getting COVID.